A couple of projects that I talk about in the Spine of the Continent were citizen science projects. They weren't called that. One was out with Mary O'Brien in the Utah forests, the Utah wilderness, where for something like 10 years now, she has taken out volunteer groups who have, and I was with her on one of these, measuring aspen, cottonwood, and willow browse. So we're out with measuring tapes. So what you're doing is you're measuring how big the piece of willow is that these cattle are browsing. So they call it the browse because that's where the cattle have been eating. And her whole passion in life is to get beaver reintroduced to the waterways of Utah. And the reason you want to do that is because when beaver are on the waterways, they retain water and create healthier habitats for all kinds of other species. So in a world where we're losing species and losing habitat, putting beaver back where they were historically can bring lots of species back. And it also, in a world that is going to have more fire and drought and big weather events, creates a more resilient landscape to both fire and drought. They're fascinating. In fact, I almost got into a fist fight with a scientist at the Academy who said, beaver aren't very interesting. What? Are you kidding? And this is fascinating though, because these are scientists that are looking at things under microscopes and they're mashing up DNA. And they think things are interesting because, I don't know what. But a beaver, nobody has explained why or how. To me, this is the mystery of life. Okay, so fair enough. The beaver is not too smart. The beaver has the smallest brain relative to body size of any mammal. Okay, they're not smart. But what they do is profound. Because by changing the geomorphology of the landscape,
what does that mean?
It means that they create a different way that the water and the land and the ground interact, creating habitat that allows all these other species to come in and live.
Huh.
So in a sense, beaver, I think I mentioned this in the Spine of the Continent, there's a Native American story, a creation story about how beaver created the world. And in this story, the world was all water. Beaver went all the way down and brought up mud and brought mud up to the surface and created the first landform. Now, in many ways, this is an accurate scientific way of looking at what beaver do. And they're rodents. They go way back. They've survived many ice ages, many extinctions. They're very, very resilient. And they regulate the environment. So this is without any thought to what they're doing. And once the beaver are gone from waterways, quite often those waterways degrade. They don't function in the same healthy way. The water moves too fast when it's not stopped by beaver dams. And so what Mary O'Brien does is show the Forest Service in Utah that until the grazing practices are changed, she can't reintroduce beaver because there's no habitat for the beaver because the cattle eat the willow all the way down to the ground. And the beaver needs willow to create their dams and to eat.